And to think that I just restarted my router because I thought there was something wrong with our connection because the audio sounded so bad. And it was you.
Did you do that for me?
Yeah, because I was like, oh, my connection must be shit because I can't hear you well at all. And it was possibly.
Don't you think
it was possibly because you'd pointed the mic not at your mouth?
Don't you think though at this point it is kind of your fault as well because you didn't point that out earlier to me? Like, I don't consider this part of my responsibility.
Yeah.
To work out how technology works on my end.
Works. Yeah,
it's yours.
That's my fault. That is my fault. Yeah, I'm sorry. I accept that. I'm just glad that I could solve this problem for us by working it out for us.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do everything around here. You're going to carry some of the load.
Hey, last time we talked, I was in that room.
You know what? I was thinking about this. I don't like that. It's like you've seen me naked because I haven't seen your room. I don't have the layout of your room. Yeah. But you've seen like my room. You know how everything connects.
I know exactly where that door goes. I can picture every step because I vacuumed every step.
It's like you've slept with my girlfriend and like you know it. You know, and you're like,
I know the ins and outs. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Mostly the outs.
What?
I don't even know what that means. It just sounded like that should have been said.
Okay.
Do you ever have that when you just feel like something needs to be said and so you just say it even if you don't know what it means?
I think probably less often than you.
Definitely less often than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you do know the inside of my house. But yeah, I miss you.
Oh, I miss you too. Yeah. Well, it was nice to see you. Let's leave it another 18 months and then we'll catch up again.
Yeah, got to keep the romance alive, but we're just keeping the Nick scent in the room. You know, it kind of lingers for a few days afterwards. You know, your housemates know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've closed all the windows, we've closed all the doors.
Yeah, left the sheets unwashed.
One of us, if we want to come in here, we have like an alarm code system. One of us wears a hazmat suit.
It's one of those,
the romance alive.
I think it's one of those things where, like, you know, a recent widow might, you know, leave the bed unmade because it still holds that lingering scent of the person they just lost. And in a way, you're sniffing my pillow by catching up with me in the room where I was.
Exactly. Yeah. But how was the plane ride home?
Well, yeah, I realized that we didn't actually talk about the quarantine or anything of it all when we were actually in person. We were just sort of chit-chatting. But yeah, we didn't talk.
But did you go into... You didn't
No,
go
that's my point. Like, we didn't actually talk about the process at all. But yeah, getting back was very easy. Flying to Christchurch to Melbourne direct was about 3.5 hours. And it was basically business as usual, except you had to wear a mask on the plane. Except they still serve food and drinks. So when you're eating or drinking, you're allowed to take the mask off. So it
was one of those COVID things that just, I mean, you know, you had to do it, but it just never made any sense. Like, you could go to a restaurant, but you have to wear a mask, and then as soon as you sit down and start eating, you can take the mask off. It was like, I get why like everyone had to do it that way, because you're basically just trying to minimize the risk. You minimize the instances where people have their masks off, but I mean, sometimes you sit in a restaurant and you're just like, this is silly.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a quite Melbourne or American kind of problem, because we didn't have that kind of community case issue where there was people going around. So masks never really happened in New Zealand. But it was interesting because I was reading as they were starting to talk about vaccination now, and particularly in the American context, the safety around international travel and just regular travel. And there was a New York Times article, which I might even link in this chapter if people want to click on it and have a read, which explains how air circulates in planes, which I'd always sort of vaguely known. But there was this, you you might have heard this as well. Sort of an apocryphal, folklorish thing saying that air quality in planes used to be better in the 60s because you were allowed to smoke on the flight. Did you ever hear that?
Wow. No, because of the filtration or something.
Yeah, because what would happen is when you were smoking on the flight, they couldn't leave the smoke in the thing, so they just pump fresh air in constantly, and it was basically like outside temperature, so you're getting like frigid airplanes, but like real fresh air because people were smoking cigarettes all through it. And then the story went that once they banned smoking and they sealed up the cockpit more, the actual air quality became worse. I think probably these days it's gone back up again and better, and the industry's fixed that. But for a while that was definitely something I'd heard, that it had been that real sort of like headachy, stuffy kind of low O2 sleepiness from plane travel. That was all because of a lack of fresh air. Anyway, the reason I brought it up was this New York Times article shows how modern planes circulate air as a part of a article explaining why there hadn't been really any super spreader events on planes in the entirety of the COVID pandemic. And it's because the circulation style of it is in through the top and then under the seats on the side. And so the affected area of a potential COVID spewing passenger is really just one seat in front and one seat behind, because everything gets sucked sideways and nothing ever travels up and down the plane.
Wow.
So yeah, they have a very elegant like diagram of that kind of thing, and explaining that all the air is circulated through HEPA filters, and I think they said something like 50% fresh air is brought in from outside every minute or 10 minutes or something like that. So it is actually constantly circulating as well. And yeah, that combination of factors where the air direction had already pre-pandemic been designed to minimize the spread of, cold and flu bugs. And it just happened to continue working for COVID as well.
Wow. Yeah, air conditioning kind of baffles me a little bit. Like even in my car, I'm just like, is that car's 25 years old? I'm thinking, you're doing what? You're taking air from outside and bringing it inside and changing it? That's pretty impressive for a 97 Nissan Maxima.
Yeah. Yeah. So I suppose even though masks do make sense as a prerequisite on a flight, because there is still the possibility that the person immediately next to you could be carrying something and you don't know about it, I also understand why they sort of have that wiggle room in the middle where it's like, okay, we'll serve you food and you can have a drink and you can take your mask off during that time as well. But yeah, it was fairly straightforward. And other than just landing in Melbourne and having to keep the mask on through the airport, once you were out and about, there was no quarantine and it was sort of a straight shot through. And then on the way back, it's even faster because of the rotation of the Earth. So it was like 2 hours 40, and I was back in Christchurch. So
I was at work, and I've got this app that I think I've spoken about before called Flight Radar 24, and just because of the way I got dual monitor thing at work, I looked up. I didn't know your flight number, but I knew you were like leaving at approximate time, and I found your plane just after it left, and just like tracked you on my other monitor like a fucking creep,
or like a fucking hacker on NCIS. Bringing up all this data, watching. You're really living that nerdy desk character archetype. Just I'll bring up the satellites.
Yeah. There's something like cool about watching or like having that tracker though on your phone. Like when Emma's sister was here, from where we are, we have a rooftop. Oh, you've been here. And we can go up and we can actually see where the airport is, and you can see all the planes like going up or going down to land like in the approximate area. And it could just look up the plane and say, oh, that plane in the sky is, someone that we know.
It's come from Singapore, yeah.
I love that shit.
That's cool. So you could spot it if I was landing, you could see me literally in midair and be like, "That's Nick on that plane right there."
If I was prepared enough, we could do it.
Yeah. Wow.
Cool.
That is cool.
And speaking of planes, did you hear about this MH370 bizzo?
I saw that you'd posted about it, right?
Dude, it's basically, you know,
It's aliens.
It's the pilot. The pilot was on a suicide
The pilot was an
mission.
alien.
The pilot, no, he wasn't an alien.
Oh, I thought we were getting
Don't be
into weird
silly.
news.
This is serious, Nick.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that Michael had his "I really care about planes" hat on.
Yes, Nick.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm taking this seriously.
Okay, so Nick, that plane MH370 that went down like 8 years ago. No one knows why. Some people think it's aliens. Some people think Russians. Turns out it was the pilot. Probably. No one knows. For sure. But they think it's the pilot. That's pretty crazy, man.
Well, you got to tell me more than that. What have they just found? How do they know it's the pilot?
So the new development was that they discovered that he actively evaded known like ping zones.
Oh.
So he they found that he intentionally avoided. That's why there's been so much confusion about this, because there wasn't enough pings.
Yeah,
like
right.
they know that it was like,
so planes normally like they come into range of what, satellites or ground based like controls, like airport sites. What
I think it's satellites, and they have these like arcs along the Earth, and one of them happens to be over the what is it? Is that the Indian Ocean on the left of Perth? And they've got this like arc that stretches from like Perth to almost in line with like the top of Australia. That they think they crashed. They went into the ocean somewhere along this arc because, you know, it pinged. That was the last known ping.
Yeah.
But now they think that he intentionally zigzagged and did all like, you know, fancy maneuvers to evade these satellites because he wanted to go undetected.
But do they have a suggestion now as to motive? Like, why would you try and take this plane off grid?
Well, he had like a similar flight path. He had like a simulator at home, and you might have heard this, that he had a similar simulator at home, and a few months before he had simulated a flight close to, you know, where they think that it crashed.
Wow.
So as far as motive, don't know. Could be religious, could be just really sad.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a hell of a way to go. And this, like, aviation disasters just absolutely fascinate me like nothing else. Just because it's like you're just trapped in this. We've all thought it. Whenever we've gone, any of us have gone in a plane, we've all thought, imagine just like crashing.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything, and just knowing you're going to die. It's just like such a dramatic way to go, and you're trapped, and it's like something about it is just like thrilling to me, you know?
Yeah, I understand the fascination, but it is definitely unsettling. Like any sort of transportation where it doesn't feel like there is an out. Like I'm not super enthused by the idea of like hot air ballooning, because that to me is a weird one where there's no safety mechanism. If that balloon goes down, there's not parachutes there. You're probably too low to the ground anyway.
The balloon is the parachute.
You're just like, if a balloon hits another balloon, which has happened. I mean, in Catalonia,
getting
right?
entangled and then
Catalonia, yeah,
Caledonia?
I think. No, Catalonia, I think. There'd been like a balloon disaster where like 3 collided or something like that, and you're like, well, what are you going to do? There's no safety net.
And you're also then, if you're getting entangled with another balloon, you got that awkward moment where it's like another couple that you don't know, and you're like, hey, we haven't met, and now we're dying together all of a sudden. Like,
what's your name?
Yes, should we get to know each other before we fucking die?
Yeah. One dead,
I
six
think
injured in a hot air balloon accident.
one
Yeah.
dead. Fuck.
That was in Barcelona. Anyway,
Barcelona.
yeah, there have been like plenty of those crashes in a way that's unsettling for me.
Yeah. Do you ever feel that in a car though, when you're doing like a road trip or a country trip, when you're going down like 100 k's an hour and like there's nothing really dividing you and the other lane that's going the other way, and you're thinking, we're gonna, if we just like fucking one of us just has one moment where you go, but bang, dead, everyone dead.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of weird that we still do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the arguments for automated driving vehicles, right? That it will never blink or get tired or do anything like that. The problem is
So now you're back on Elon's side.
No, I'm saying that if we can get to that point, it will be theoretically safer for everyone. But I do have, I do have those thoughts. But somehow naively, I still think, but in a car, you could, you've got your airbags, you'll be fine. You're not gonna fall off something unless it's a cliff or a bridge.
Yeah, the older I get, the more I'm scared of stuff. And maybe by some token that makes sense. I guess it does make sense because you're more aware of the stuff. But like when I was a kid, I would just do fucking anything. I would go, when we went to the beach, I would try and swim out the furthest that I possibly can until my dad screamed at me to come back. But now I go on the beach and I'm just thinking, what if there's a shark? I don't want to go on a wave that's too, I might drown.
If the rip catches me and drags me out, I don't have the swimming skills to get back in.
But when I was a kid, I would just fucking do anything. Like I was like a crazy kid in that respect.
Yeah.
Well, just never thought about that I was going to die.
Well, which is kind of the point, right? Like as a kid, you don't want to have to worry about mortality yet. Like that's one of the transitions to adulthood, is realizing like, oh fuck, this is all I got, and people are dying like everywhere all the time.
Yeah,
and that's not something you really want to put on a 6-year-old. So kids don't have that context or that range of experience, or even in simple terms with like much pain. It's pretty rare for a kid to have like even broken a leg or something, right? So in those kind of in that Venn diagram of experiences, there's not much overlap between what I'm experiencing and what the actual risks are, or the actual
totally
pain is.
Yeah. I hate being scared of anything. I would love to go back. I would love to have the bliss of that, that ignorance, than like be scared about sharks when I go into the ocean. I would just rather enjoy the ocean, even though that might be more sensible. I'd rather just do that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not afraid of sharks. Like when I'm getting in the ocean, I'm not worried about that.
What are you thinking about when you're in the ocean?
Seaweed. When there's like real slippery, slimy stuff on your feet, you're like, ugh.
What is wrong with you?
Also, what about those
You're scared of seaweed?
What about those spiky rockfish, which will just kill you with their poison if you step on them, and you don't know they're there until you step on it, and then you just get stung and you're like paralyzed.
It is crazy that we just like, when you go into the ocean or you go into some body of water, that for the most part, unless you're in like crystal clear ocean, you're just like agree to not know what you're going to step on.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's just see what's out there.
I guess this is just part of it.
Yeah. Well, there's that fear, that phobia, which is kind of a meme, which is the fear of large depths beneath you, a fear of swimming in things with lots of something underneath. And I can't remember the name of it, but someone out there will know what I'm talking about. But the idea of you just sort of floating at the surface of this giant thing, and there being, a kilometer of water underneath you that's completely anonymous and black, is like a legit phobia of like a lot of people. Man,
like the ocean is kind of that. It's like this void. It's like space. It's like this. It's a void. Voids are scary. You know, emotional voids, intergalactic voids,
thalassophobia. Thalassophobia. The intense fear of
Thalassophobia.
deep...
With a PH?
TH. TH as in
thalassophobia.
Thalassophobia. A persistent intense fear
Kind
of
of a
deep
nice
bodies
name.
of water that seem vast, dark, deep, and dangerous. They're not afraid of the water so much as they're afraid of what lurks beneath the surface. From Thalassa the sea.
That's a good phobia.
It's a good phobia.
You know?
And if you
deep.
If you image search that, you'll see lots of like kind of horrifying things of like underwater chasms and that sort of stuff. Or yeah. No, it's
Love a
that's
chasm.
a good one.
Do you have any phobias?
Not huge ones. I'm not like the biggest fan of insects like spiders and things. But that
It's
doesn't...
like
that's
arachnophobia is
manageable.
kind of standard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and if there are spiders in the bathroom or in the shower or whatever, like I can just deal with it. I'm not so afraid of them that
Paralyzed.
I like need to be out of the room. So it's not quite a phobia. It's just like I'm watching you. Don't fucking jump at me because then I'll scream.
It's so funny that spiders just like all humans just fucking hate spiders basically, and they like proportionate to how many deaths or injuries they cause. Like they get kind of a bad rap.
Yeah, that's a phobia from otherness, right? More than from danger. It's because like
Yeah,
you
it's
have
the
too
way that
many
they
legs
move.
and too many eyes, and it's furry or
But then
it's
why aren't we
creepy
afraid
and
of
it's
crabs?
venomous. I don't like crabs. I don't like crabs very much.
Nobody likes crabs. That's why
They
put them
taste
in
alright.
tacos.
Yeah. Welcome to Deep Thought, everyone. What a strange and winding path we've taken to this intro. But I think you'll all agree it was worth it. This is a podcast we do with each other to talk about things that are occurring in the world in a light-hearted and informative manner. Sitting through the internet with me, my friend Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hi.
And my name's Nick. Hi, Nick. Hi. Just gave you some space there, as you always requested. A little bit of talking space. That's fine. Maybe next week.
Just give me 3 seconds,
Okay. Well, we did, and a little more.
and I'll fill it. And I'll fill that hole however I feel at the time.
Ins and
Edit that
outs. How have your couple of weeks been? You looking well? Did you get a haircut?
Yeah. No, he says to me literally every episode.
Well, to be fair, you have a lot of haircuts.
I do actually. That's fair. I do love a haircut. I'm not gonna lie, and we talk about haircuts a lot on here. We talk about haircuts almost as much as we talk about going to the gym. I think
It's our brand, yeah.
it's our thing, and I can see your gym shorts in the background. They look good. Couple
I
of
was
towels.
actually just
I
looking
bet
at that because I put it in and I was like, oh, if this is being recorded, can anyone see my underwear?
we can't see your underwear, but we can. I think it looks like your room smells pretty damp at the moment.
It's actually not too bad. No. I just put it in here because it's 4:45 and it'll be dark in the next 45 minutes, and I didn't want to leave it out there to frost over.
Yeah.
So, but they had been out there for a few hours. They're just not quite over the limit.
Hey man,
But do you
I'm
notice
not joking.
anything else on my wall behind me?
Oh, the new Radiohead frame.
Yeah, it might be a little bit reflecting.
Stanley Dunn. I like it.
Yeah, I hung that up with KC's help last weekend.
It looks really cool. Yeah, I've been thinking about getting that Stanley Donwood monkey as another tattoo.
Oh yeah.
But
A little bit.
yeah, I
cliche.
can make a good tattoo, but bit what?
A little bit cliche. You're talking about the bear, the teeth bear.
Yeah.
It's a
the
little
Kid A
bit.
Bear.
Yeah.
It is a little bit cliche. I was thinking. I'm glad you said that actually. Cause
Yeah. I mean, I'm
might
not against
not
it.
get it
What you should get is the outline of the moon-shaped pool crater or something like abstract, you know? Get the
Oh, I love that. Although it's just not one of my favorite albums.
get the King of Limbs.
I never got
monster.
it around it. I like that. I like getting something. I like the idea of getting something Radiohead related, but I agree the bear is probably too on the nose.
Yeah.
But if you've got any other, I like your ideas about some of the artwork.
Take a piece
because,
out. Take a piece out. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the photo, and it's a jigsaw puzzle.
It was, yeah. So I bought one of because a year ago, Radiohead mid-pandemic printed up a jigsaw puzzle, and it was really fucking tough.
Fucking sharks.
Actually, it was
Was it?
it was blue and white, and only blue and only white, and it was originally drawn, I think, in biro or something like that. So it was really kind of monochrome, and it was just so. It was a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, and it took me like months to finish. And I got to the end, and I was like, oh, I mean, I can't leave it on the coffee table, but it feels such
what do
a
you do with
waste
it?
to like just
All right,
break
let's
it
do
back
it
up
again in
again.
5 years.
And
Yeah.
so I thought about, oh, can I preserve it? Can I like hang it? And so then we sort of set off on a bit of a process of gluing it all together and gluing it onto a backing paper and buying a frame, but the frame was too big. So Casey jumped in the wood shop and chopped it around a bit, and we rehung it, and it was all, yeah, now it's just like hanging there, and at a distance it just looks like art. But then when you get up close, you see all the pieces are there. Yeah, it's real dope.
I love it. I it's a great idea for what to do with the jigsaw puzzle because, I mean, the fuck are you going to do with the completed jigsaw puzzle? The last thing you want to do is do it again. And also, what have you done? What have you
Achieved
all this time for?
Yeah.
So I think sticking it together and framing it is a good idea.
Yeah, it was $30 for a
Especially
frame.
if you've got a boyfriend that can chop wood, apparently.
Can fucking, take it into the wood shop and fix up the frame so it's symmetrical. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you've got that at your disposal, fucking use it.
Make the most of it, yeah. What are we talking about this week, Michael?
Well, you suggested billionaires.
Yeah,
we could talk about
that was a
billionaires.
little bit off the back of Elon Musk, but you also had bits and pieces.
I had a bits and pieces, but just kind of like funny, hilarious, rather, things.
Funny. I mean, hold on. Let me upgrade that. Hilarious.
I will speak my truth.
Yeah.
So you had a fight with my dad on Facebook about Elon Musk, which I thought was very amusing.
It wasn't a fight. It was a reasoned conversation, and it was two back and forths.
I don't want to throw my dad under the bus here. But I think he thought it was a fight. And
really?
Well, I'm kind of said that for comedic effect.
Okay, sure.
But exaggerated slightly. But he did send me a message saying, I'm not going to reply to Nick because I think it might embarrass you. And I said, thanks.
Yeah.
And that 100% happened.
So that's why the conversation stopped, because he was concerned you'd be embarrassed and you agreed.
Well, I think when I don't know, I can't remember what the last comment was, but I think he wanted to take it up a notch, and then decided against it.
Okay,
We'll
save it for Christmas. Yeah,
I actually did say to him, thanks, but I'm quite enjoying the back and forth here.
Okay,
so, did you get? So the Elon Musk thing was divisive, dude, and by divisive, I mean 4 people reached out, and it was 2 and 2.
Okay, I mean the numbers add up. That's divided.
4 divided by 2. 2.
Correct. I didn't see any of those messages. Were they to you directly, or were they on the Facebook account? The Instagram.
No, they weren't. They were to me directly, but I also got messages from Nathan sent a message saying you're a fucking idiot on this Elon Musk thing, Michael. I can't believe we even hung out. I got messages.
It's like I'm rethinking our entire friendship. When did this all go wrong?
I got other messages from Slave
Kreber,
who said, Nick's an idiot. He's a wokester. He's a he doesn't know what he's talking about. But so we divided the fans, Nick.
That's good.
We really divided it. Yeah. And that's what we're all about.
And I will
Just
always
keep it.
stick by my hottest takes delivered at a 180-degree
yeah.
angle, lying down on the floor on a Sunday night. I will stand by
I
them
love it.
even as I was lying on them.
Yeah. And Elon, by the way, he's on Saturday Night Live tonight.
Yeah. US
Well,
tonight.
it'll be tomorrow, but I'll be watching that shit. You gonna watch?
I'll
Don't
see.
you kind of want to see? He's like the least funny guy on the world. Like, don't you want to see him just fucking choke?
Kind of, but at the same time, like, I don't watch any SNL. I every now and then I'll hear a buzz about like one crazy sketch that went off or a digital exclusive that's real funny. But it is a little mystifying to me how much people talk about SNL, right? Like,
It is kind of, yeah. Considering it doesn't seem like anyone watches it. I mean, I watch it,
Yeah.
but like definitely none of my friends watch it.
I really think because it has been on air for 40 something years, right? Like, it does have the deserved status as like a cultural institution, but at the same time, I think the only people watching it are people in their like
Who love
40s and 60s, right? Like, maybe you'll get one sketch which breaks through, but I don't think kids are watching it, are they?
No, I think back in the heyday when you had like Chevy Chase and Sandler and Chris Farley and like those guys,
Or
it
even
was,
the
like, a
early thousands,
spectacle.
like the Polar, Tina Fey, Myers, Fallon, Ferrell kind of years, right?
Sure,
seems
but I
like
mean,
it
like
was younger.
when when there's less like channels,
Yeah.
like when it's like on free to air. I don't know what the American
when there's 5
system is,
networks
cable
and yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Like people were watching it more, and then as the media landscape has kind of splintered
Shattered,
and
yeah.
diversified, whatever, it's like, well, no one's going to actively watch SNL. We just were told we were just given it, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to seek it out now.
Yeah.
But I agree, it's like it's not that funny. Like I enjoy political commentary of any form. That's why I like Seth Meyers. That's why I like Bill Maher, and that's why I like SNL. It's because I just like to hear the conversation and how it's interpreted and stuff. And this is how the left's interpreting the whatever issue, and this is how the right, you know.
Yeah, but I think the bizarre thing for me is that SNL is so like milquetoast when it comes to political satire. They're not really in the game of politics. Their comfort zone is just sketches and silliness. But then there's sort of
I would argue that they are quite political.
But this
I
is-
mean,
this
they're bent left 100%.
I don't know about that. I think that the fact that they invite on people like Donald Trump in 2015 suggests that their primary concern is on ratings and on viewership and on scandal or shock, or not scandal or shock, but like they're attention seeking, right? That they want to be discussed. And I think the bizarre thing about the show is that there are so many. I don't know if you follow American media very closely in terms of like newspapers and things, but there'll be a weekly article on, you know, the Washington Post about last night's SNL said this, or the New York Times would be like, was the jab at Sarah Palin really appropriate? And you're like, how are these like internationally regarded big broadsheet newspapers dedicating a weekly column to a comedy sketch series? That side of it has always
Great
just
point.
seemed very odd to me. You don't hear that kind of commentary about other things.
That's a great point, and you only hear because like when if there's any equivalent, it might be like a talk show host.
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon said something or slightly controversial about this, or
But it's
you know,
never
it-
it's never a expected weekly event, right? Like they'll get coverage when Samantha Bee calls Ivanka Trump a feckless cunt, right? She'll get in the news article because there's an actual sort of momentary controversy, and then they're not covering that the next week. Whereas with SNL, it's like, okay,
Right.
we've got someone on this beat, like they're fucking the political reporter. We've got the SNL reporter, and every week they'll have the these are the best sketches, and they said this, and this was that, and But the show's
They're
political
trying
commentary,
to stay in the convers. That's their fuel is staying in the zeitgeist.
I think their political commentary has wavered in terms of intensity and prevalence depending on the national mood. So in the past 4 years, because everyone was fucking insane with the Trump presidency, they were every week. This is the latest scandal. Trump is crazy. This is the thing. But it was also like limp, that satire. It wasn't really holding anyone to account. It's just like, this is his silly voice and this is his silly thing he did, right? Whereas someone like Colbert would really go for the jugular a bit more. In a way that feels to me more politically motivated. I think SNL just talks about it. Yeah, I think SNL just talks about it because it's something topical. And when whatever's topical is political, they do political. But I don't think that they think of themselves as political in what like goal they're trying to set, right? I think they think of themselves as topical.
I reckon that's a good take. I agree.
So then the question sort of comes back around to this casting, right? And why do you reckon they put Elon Musk in? Because I don't get it. How did it even happen?
Well, I reckon this is what happened. I reckon, like, just hearing like Elon Musk talk on Joe Rogan, for example, you can kind of get a better sense of who he really is rather than, as opposed to more kind of formal interviews, which I think speaks to the Rogan's credit if there is
the podcast, the long form podcast format. Yeah,
totally. So I reckon I think Elon Musk, I don't disagree with you that the man's got an ego and he wants, kind of like with SNL, he likes being part of the conversation as well. He likes people talking about him. That's why I think partly, maybe he's trolling with like some of these tweets that are so stupid and kind of throwaway that is, I think that he's kind of like trolling a little bit and he's like becoming the joke. Like, he's part of the joke, even if he's not fully aware of it. So I think him on SNL, he knows that he's going to eat a bag of shit. He's got the world, like, why, by the way, why, like, people are now talking about Elon Musk all the time now. And the interesting thing about this is that he hasn't had like one trigger, but he hasn't said like one thing that's like taken off on Twitter. It's just that he's being talked about because he's going on SNL. I reckon he just, on a whim, just got the call and said, "Do you want to be on SNL?" And he went, "Yeah, fuck it. Let's do it." Well, is that boring?
Excuse me. I'm staring into the setting sun, and that just triggers your melatonin levels.
Does it?
You really think they reached out to him? To me, it seems like something where, like, Elon Musk and Grimes are in social circles, and so he hangs out with someone, or Grimes bumps into Scarlett Johansson, and then ScarJo's like, "Hey,
Colin,
I hear that a certain billionaire wants to play," and he's like,
that image is so funny to me.
"Ooh, could I get a Tesla from this?" And then,
wait, just quickly, do you reckon Colin Jost a good-looking man? Like, no, because he looks like he's got all the parts there for a handsome face, but he just looks like a toy.
Yeah, I know. Theoretically, in a different context, it could work. On paper, it should work. On paper, Colin Jost should work, but it doesn't. It doesn't work.
It's a bit just slightly off. It's like the Polar Express animation. It's like it's not quite.
Colin Jost is the real life manifestation of the uncanny valley.
It's so true. It's so true.
That's
one of the truest things we've ever said on this.
That's one of the truest things we've ever hit on. Colin Jost, I don't know. See, did you see Pete Holmes? Not Pete Holmes. Pete. It was King of Staten Island. Davidson, thank you. Pete Davidson was on Seth this week talking about the upcoming SNL and how his season's gone. And he was saying that he doesn't really care about Elon Musk being on there. And he just says, I'm going to go up and I'm going to ask for a Tesla because why not? And I'll say it's for my mum. And then I'll just take it from my mum after he's used it. She's used it once.
That's funny. That's funny.
But clearly apparently the SNL staff have been told they don't have to appear if they don't want to appear this weekend. But clearly some of them don't care about it. So, which is their prerogative. Well,
of course, like what? I mean, look, if you were part of the SNL cast, like, but first of all, I think this is like this story that the SNL cast, some of them don't. I think it's been blown up. Like, I don't think
possibly. Yeah.
I'm sure it's like some of them are like a little bit confused, but like the comedians, real comedians don't give a fuck who the person is. They'll find a way to make fun of you. Like, if it's Donald Trump, okay, you can play with us, but we'll make fun of you. You know, like I don't think that there's like this massive, coup amongst the SNL staff.
No.
But Pete Davidson has had an issue with people in the past. Like in his stand-up special, the recent one last year, which fucking stunk like dog shit. He like spent 20 minutes talking about Louis C.K. and about how Louis C.K. like came up to him during Louis C.K.'s SNL week, came up to him after the show and was like, "You need to stop smoking weed," and then he just fucking talk shit about him for half of his special. But
really,
yeah.
I don't know what to think about Pete Davidson. I kind of don't like him.
He's so young, dude. Like, he's like 6 years younger than you and me. It's how crazy is that?
Yeah, weird, eh?
We're old though, bro.
Well, yeah.
Birthday next week.
Yeah, it is my birthday next week.
Birthday next week.
And your birthday in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. What do you reckon? How about we do this? What do you reckon Casey's got for you? And then we'll check back in, in 2 weeks' time when both of our birthdays have gone, and we'll see if you're all right.
I think he's making me a scarf.
I'll send you something. You actually want.
And the reason that I think that is because he is making me a scarf. And he has shown me it and told me it. So it's not the biggest surprise.
That's a massive clue, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's easy to take. Yeah, sort of at face value.
This one.
Yeah. Speaking of billionaires, I think we can circle around onto it more broadly, but Bill and Melinda Gates was the other billionaire news of this week.
I know, the hottest couple of 2020.
Yeah, guess who's on the market, ladies?
I've been seeing so many shitty memes about Bill Gates being on like Tinder.
Yeah.
And they're shit, but they're funny. Like, I'm only... There's like a photo of him lying down on the bed like this. It says, "I'm not only micro, I'm soft." Cheap laughs, but fucking funny.
That's funny. Yeah, what do you reckon it takes for like a billionaire couple like that to break up at that point, right? Because Jeff Bezos did it, right?
I'll tell you exactly what's happened. When you start as a couple, as the Gates did, a global pandemic so that you can sell vaccines, that puts a lot of stress on the relationship.
Yeah.
And I think any couple who have, gone through that kind of attention and that kind of, disaster, I mean, because it blew back in their face, let's be honest.
It blew back, yeah. Everyone was on.
I think that's going to put a lot of stress on a relationship.
I mean, the great thing is for Bill, with Melinda microchipped, he'll be able to know where she is at any time. So that's a plus.
Perks.
The interesting thing about that billionaire tier, right? When you get up to there, it has to do something to you psychologically where you can no longer trust what any single person ever says to you or thinks, right? Because there's just this common knowledge between you and whoever you're interacting with that you have an incredible amount of wealth and power, and you can't help but feel that somehow, right?
Yeah. It's like being, you probably won't know this. I've had some experience. It's like being super hot. Like you know that when people are talking to you, like sometimes you think, are they just talking to me because of how incredibly, good looking I am, or are they wanting to get to know me for me? And you're kind of living under this paranoia all of the time.
Yeah. Oh, it must be horrible for you. I'm so sorry.
It's horrible. Horrible.
Yeah. Do you know, I can't remember, did Bill and Melinda get married? Like, they've been together for a long time, like, but pre-Microsoft? Like, have they been together sort of when he was normie without all that millions behind him?
Let's ask Siri. Hey, Siri, how long have Bill and Melinda Gates been together?
You don't have to wait for the beep.
Okay. I found this on the web for how long have Bill and Melinda Gates been together. Check it out.
I hate it when she does this and doesn't read it out. 27 years.
27 years. So that's still...
That's got to be
Microsoft
after.
exists, yeah.
Gold digger. But...
But at least I think she was there along for the ride. So that makes me feel like, okay, you probably trust that person. And then you end up in a place where the whatever differences you have, they're sort of human ones, right? Whereas I think if you were Elon Musk and you marry Grimes, like, what do you reckon the over-under is on them lasting? Are they going to be together in 30 years?
I like them as a couple. I mean, they're freaks. They're both aliens.
But Elon Musk has like 5 kids, right? Doesn't he have kids with like 3 different women? Is that right?
I believe that's like correct. Yeah, something like that. I don't know the specifics.
Yeah, I'm just going off memory, but I given the age gap between them, what did we say it was last time? 17 years.
You don't have a kid with someone, name them X-12 #blessed, and then divorce, and then one of them is now a single mother with a kid named #blessed,
But a single mother with a #blessed kid because she has inherited $500 million from the divorce. That's #blessed.
That is #blessed. 100%. Yeah, good point. How much? What's the net worth of Elon Musk now? It's like
180 billion.
Celebrity net worth.
Celebrity net worth. How much are they worth?
Fun app. This one.
A little bit. Can I do a little bit of foreshadowing here?
Oh, foreshadow. Shut up, Siri.
Speaking of good fun, I have invented a game to play at the end of this. I've invented a game.
Oh
so
my
just
God.
a little bit of foreshadowing. Got a game for you.
Holy shit. Can't wait for that, man.
Okay.
That sounds amazing.
Elon Musk net worth is 184 billion. Here's the crazy thing. His net worth 184 billion. Here's the crazy thing. His net worth increased 142 billion in 2020 alone. In 2020, his net worth went up $142 billion in 1 year.
That's because my boy hustling.
It's because my boy forcing workers back into Tesla factories during a pandemic and getting hundreds of infections in his staff. Hustling.
Hey, I don't know what I'm doing.
184 billion. So I bet you if he divorces Grimes, she's getting a cool couple bill, right? Cool couple
not
bill.
Bad.
Not bad investment for 15 years and a kid.
That's kind of not very woke of you to say that, Nick. Don't you
No,
think?
I'm just saying. I don't think that he is the kind of person, based on his 4 other kids and 2 previous relationships, that necessarily he's going to be there for her.
I'm sure he'll be there for her in terms of giving her lots of money. I mean, and what's more being there for her than that?
Yeah, not going to Mars. Do you reckon Elon's going to get going to flight? Do you reckon he's going to put himself up there?
No. Why would you?
If someone said to you, "Do you want to go to space, Michael?" You'd say yes.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know? I'm not talking about moving to Mars. I'm just saying, like, if someone said, "Get up there into space," you go for a quick loop.
Well, this is, episode 1 of Deep Thought. Would you take a one-way ticket to Mars? Is that the question?
No, it's not.
Are we revisiting the...
No, I think that the question we're now visiting 7 years on is, it's looking like the technology is going to be there, possibly within our lives, to get up and back, right? To not be stuck with the one way, right? But to actually have some sort of interplanetary transit, or at least moon base or something like that, whether you're landing rockets and there's not a single use kind of model to space travel. So maybe the better question is, if you could do your 6-month sabbatical, would you go up there and come back again?
In a New York minute.
Yeah. So why do you think that Elon Musk isn't going to get up in space at some point?
Because he's a giant pussy. But I think I think he would. It would need to be more of a sure thing. Also, he'd be more productive down here on little old planet Earth.
Yeah, what do you think he does day to day?
A lot of admin.
It's a lot of reading emails.
A lot of signing autographs.
What do you reckon he has for lunch?
I think he eats pretty bad. He's blowing up. He's going to be fat, I reckon.
So he's not having a poke bowl from his personal chef.
He's chunky monkey. I reckon he's eating in a similar way to Trump.
Oh,
but I think he's thinking. I have nothing to back this up on. This is just a hunch.
Uh-huh.
I think he's a diet. I think he's a Coke Zero guy, and he's smashing them on the reg every day.
Smashing the CZs.
Mm-hmm. I've just gotten into Coke Zero. I think it's the greatest.
Okay.
Shout out to Coke.
Liking your work.
loving your work, Coke. I reckon he's a fatty. He's a fatty.
Okay.
And he's going to get even fatter, because why would you be skinny at that age? If you've got that much money, why would you? You can buy everything. You don't. It makes no difference whether you're not you're fit, because you've got stuff to move you around. And also, you can, you don't need to worry about not being attracted, attractive to the opposite sex, because you can just buy that as well. So there's no incentive for you to be fit.
Well, yeah, but like, do you think that's really satisfying?
I'm joking.
Okay, but I'm truly trying to imagine the psychological impact of billionaires, right? Of like what it would feel like to be the guy, right? So if you never, ever, if there is literally nothing you can't have, right? That has to do something to you. It has to...
Totally.
It has to fuck with you in very strange ways.
You have to then create your own boundaries. And if you don't create your own boundaries, you're fucked. We need boundaries.
Yeah.
If you can have everything and you don't limit the scope, it's kind of like music in a way.
Yeah.
Like if you can have every instrument at your disposal doesn't mean you should use all of them. You want to create a sound. So you kind of have to say, well, I'm going to, limit the types of instruments that I want to use in order to make a sound that I want to make.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Is that a good analogy?
No, it is. I totally agree. It makes sense. But how do you think that a billionaire limits themselves?
I have no idea. I would be... if I had all that money, I'd be absolutely fucked. I would burn every relationship to the ground, not on purpose, but I think I would just do that.
It
If
would
I could just do
sabotage.
anything, I would just be, I would be Scarface. I think. I imagine if I have money, I would have like, that's where I would end up. I would end up like Scarface.
Do you think that different types of people would become different types of billionaires? Because there's the sort of benevolent. I'm not trying to cast truest versions on someone like Elon Musk, because there are definitely worse billionaires out there. But there are also ones which are sort of aspirational, charity-based kind of, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, right? They almost, I mean, single-handedly is unfair, but they actively all but eradicated malaria, right? Like they set themselves a goal and they're like, we're going to get rid of this thing and we're just going to fix it forever and we're going to kill this thing permanently off the planet, right? That's a very aspirational and making a difference with your money kind of goals, right? And then you have the fuck about and have fun kind of billionaires, which I think Jeff Bezos does a little bit, where he just like buys news organizations he likes, and he I think he owns, what else does he own? He owns like a sports team or something, right? But his goal just seems to be like, well, I'm making my company better, but I don't see him, you don't hear him at least doing a great deal of like, and we're going
Charity.
to save the
Seals.
African rhino, or whatever. And then you just have the complete like narcissistic ego trip billionaires, which is like the oil tycoon sort of Saudi emirate kind of, I have just a palace full of gold and that is my life and I hoard it and this is who I am now. And I think Trump's personality is that, even if he doesn't have the money to be there, right?
No, it's weird how Trump has just like, it's so clear to everyone that Trump has no interest in making the world a better place. And on some level, that's kind of, I respect that. Like, because he's just like, I'm just about me and he's not even about his family. He's not even about like...
He is very honest about his desires, right? You can't mistake him for... no one's ever accused him of like false modesty, right? Or of his... charitable efforts being just like a cover. He doesn't even bother. He doesn't do it at all.
The most he'll do is he'll be like, how come Donald, you haven't given to charity? He'll be like, I've given the most amount of dollars to charity. Nobody's ever given the amount of money that I've given to charity. And then everyone will be like, no, you haven't. And he'll be like, okay.
Yeah, he showed up at like a charity gala for kids with cancer, right? And he walked up and he sat himself on stage or something and gave a talk like he was there.
Was that what that was?
And everyone was like, why is he here? And he'd never donated even anything to be there. He just showed up for the event. And everyone was like, why?
Dude,
why are you here?
That. I love that. Yeah, it's the thing that you sent me that. It was someone had captioned that like, so it's like your drunk uncle had shown up at your wedding that you specifically didn't invite.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this rocket that's been like, it's falling back to Earth now, and the Chinese government don't know when or where, but it's going to happen sometime this weekend?
I've vaguely heard that. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Like,
so it was space junk and it's just coming back in, or it was an active ship?
A rocket. It was a rocket that wasn't equipped to have like the intentional landing.
Right.
They thought it would just burn up in space, but surprise, it hadn't burnt up in space. And now they're like, we're confident that it's going to not land on a populated area, but they're saying that because they're like, well, 3/4 of the Earth is water.
Is ocean.
So the odds are good. But then there's like this tracker thing that you can go to and you can just see it flying around, and it's like running simulated kind of hypothetical scenarios
like crash park,
where this rocket might land.
Wow.
And it's like, if you're in fucking Spain, you're like in this red zone for some reason.
Jeez.
And also the other one's in Wellington,
New Zealand.
Wellington, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
They're like, these are like 2 points that we think it could, if it does hit land, it could hit.
Right. Wow. That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I've been watching this
Thanks,
series
China.
called For All Mankind, which I think I mentioned to you, but I don't think we've talked about on the pod, which is sort of an alt history space race Apple TV
Yeah, you
series
did.
about...
Last time you were down, you mentioned, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we chatted on the pod, but it's about a what-if situation in which Russia lands on the moon first, and then the space race never ends. And so there's a constant sort of back and forth tension, and America try to regain its status, and it just continues. And the timeline sort of splinters a little bit, and soon it's like, well, now America's going to have the first moon base. So now there's people on the moon in the 70s and all these kind of interesting hypotheticals. But one of the sort of underlying is the word I'm looking for, tensions in it is the international geopolitics of it, the Russia versus America thing. And so it's funny to think that still to this day we have China and these countries whose politics are in tension with us domestically, who are still doing stuff in outer space, which there has to be international teamwork on, right? Like NASA and the ISS and all these kind of places have to work together in space, and yet they're dealing with countries which are secretive, or there are tensions between on the ground, and nothing's changed in 40 years, 50 years.
I mean, but come on, like the most predictable thing ever.
Of course.
I mean, the space race has been going on for, 70, 60 years.
Yeah.
It's like this weird display of how far technologically your country is. And so you've got like the US, China, and Russia all vowing to, like, in the 60s, get to the moon or put a man on the moon for the first time. As a display of how far the country is going, and how it's almost like a threat.
Well, and it was also a statement of political and economical superiority, right? Because it was the whole communism versus capitalism thing, right?
It suggests prosperity too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's a luxury to go to space.
Yeah, it's a technological achievement, and thus that the argument being it could only have happened under our ideology. Yeah. Just to circle back to billionaires before we go too far off it, do you have a position, a moral position on billionaires? We've sort of talked about them in terms of the sort of sideways effects they have on society, and on how it would affect a person mentally to be so rich. But do you have a position on their sociological impact or their moral impact?
Not like a well thought out one, but I guess I do think that capitalism is good to a certain extent, and in incentivizing people to work hard and achieve things it seems to me like a very necessary part of life, or at least a system of life. But it is completely uncomfortable that some people have like a significant percentage of the money in the world. Like especially when some people have literally no money. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. And if you zoom out far enough and you imagine that you are, like a third party, you're an alien race looking at how we're living life, you gotta think there has to be some balance between needing to incentivize people to, be competitive and to keep, the economy or the world stimulated, whatever. But there needs to be some balance between that and some people earning so much fucking money that you literally can't even comprehend it. Like, there has to be something in between that's not communism, but probably borrowing a little bit of communist ideals.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the problems that humans struggle with is understanding scale, and one of the things I think that is a difficulty in discussing billionaires is really getting across how much money $1 billion is and how much $184 billion is. 184 billion, which is 184,000 million dollars. Like the scale of it is crazy, right? Was it March? I did a birthday thing for you, or February. I did a birthday thing where I congratulated you on your birthday, which was a gigasecond, I think, which was one with 1 billion seconds. And that had taken you 31 and a bit years to hit a gigasecond old. And that, I think, was one of the most informative ways I'd had of really rationalizing how much 1 billion is. That if you count, 1 per second, it'll take you 31.7 years to get to 1 billion. And the scale of that kind of money is such that, as you say, you can't just accrue that without it being deprived of someone else. And I think that you're right, that when the world is still starving in so many places, or when there are people without houses and things, and you think about the tiny proportion of money it would take to just completely solve that problem permanently, and yet these people don't. Like, there's so many things that a billionaire could do day to day. So many things. And you'd think, if you're an egotist, that you'd see that as an opportunity, right? And go, fuck it, I'm going to give $20 billion and I'm going to fix, the entire state of the American infrastructure. I'm going to fix homelessness, or I'm going to rebuild the entirety of the roads system, or I'm going to invest in low-income housing, or all of these kind of things, which could have such a manageable effect and would be such a PR win. That that's the thing which is baffling to me, is that there's so much they could do, but that don't.
But it's like that. It's like, I think if you're in that position, you can convince yourself that the problem is too large for you to fix. It's like kind of like how World Vision will show you, like, do you want to sponsor a kid? They'll want to put if you see a kid in Africa that, is malnourished or whatever, you're more likely to donate rather than, hearing that there's like 4 million kids in Africa that don't have enough to eat. Like, the problem seems too big. So I think that's probably how they rationalize it to themselves.
I think there's also a risk where they don't want to pull the thread, where it's like, because the other argument I have is do you really think that someone like Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or Elon Musk or Warren Buffett, do you really think that day to day they are working so much harder than your prototypical single black mother with 2 jobs, working 8-hour shift at McDonald's and then another 6 hours overnight in a cleaning job?
This is a false equivalence, though. Like, I don't what's the. So mean, they've worked probably harder before. I mean, maybe, who knows? I mean, they beat the system is basically what's happened.
I think the point is that the system is unfair, right? And that it shouldn't produce a billionaire, because does the work that person has put in equal 20,000 times more than your average working blue class worker, right? That's my point.
Definitely not. Yeah,
is that your argument for capitalism was there is an incentive to working hard, which I agree. If you work hard, you should get rewarded for it. But clearly there's something in the system where there are people are working their 16-hour days across 2 jobs or whatever and not being able to get anywhere. And there are people who might be working hard, might have worked hard previously in their lives, but have been in a position or inherited an emerald mine, or been set up in a way that they had opportunities presented to them and been able to skyrocket to just an absurd position, with that sort of snowballing effect of the more wealth you have, the easier it is to make more wealth, and on and on and on it goes, right? So that's the sort of the moral angle that I think I take on billionaires, which is that the responsibility is on us to change society to make it so that it can't happen. Because I don't think there is any one person who could do in a day enough work to merit the amount of money that they accrue.
I totally agree with you. But then what splits the difference of capitalism and communism? And is communism really bad?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that communism is the answer, but there has definitely been this push for what they're calling the democratic socialism, right? Which is a little bit more of the government safety net in place, right? Not necessarily
like the
everyone gets paid
basic income.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's not necessarily saying that everyone's property is everyone else's, right? Like the sort of that we are all one and we share what we have and all that kind of mentality. But certainly having a position in which there should be an infrastructure there to provide what we deem human rights, to everyone, an education, a house over their head, cleanliness, opportunities, that sort of thing. And if it takes a universal basic income to achieve that for some as well then that too.
Well, I think the UBI is the kind of the meeting capitalism and communism halfway.
It would certainly be a good step, yeah.
Do you think you'll ever be rich?
I think in many respects I already am, right? Like,
of course.
I have the luxury. You've
got a podcast.
I've got a podcast.
You've got a TV show.
Yeah, I mean, no, but legit. Like when you think about the opportunities that I have, that I'm, in a very affluent country in a global sense, with the ability to do my job that I like doing every week, and I can pay for the roof of my head, and I'm lucky enough that my parents are going to have savings that I'll inherit at some point, right? And by all accounts, that's extremely fortunate. So, yeah, I don't think I'll ever be a billionaire, but there's I'm already set up better than probably 95% of the rest of the planet.
But when on a day-to-day basis, like you can be aware of it now when we're diving into it and talking about it, like with intent, but on a day-to-day basis, are you able to remind yourself that you're lucky, and do you feel lucky on a day-to-day basis?
I don't think about it in a money context on a day-to-day basis. I do still think a lot about when am I going to get paid for my next job, because I'm trying to hold on to savings. And when you're not salaried, it's always I'm getting paid for my freelance thing and I've got a big lump, and now I really want it to sit there long enough so that by the next time I get a lump, I'm not back to where I was. I want to see savings increase, right? Versus the sort of salary mentality, which is that every week I know I get $2,000 in my bank account, and I put, $500 that into rent and bills and things, and then the rest I have as investment or spending money or whatever you want to call it. So that mentality is definitely different, where I'm like, okay, I don't want these numbers to keep going down. So I don't think about it in that respect, but I do think about it in terms of the opportunities I have, where I get to sleep in the mornings and I get to get up when I want to, and I can go to the gym in the morning, and then I can fuck around and have lunch, and then really sit down to work at like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or something in the afternoon, and then do projects that I'm into. And that feels very lucky. And I have plenty of people around me who don't have that kind of lifestyle, who I think would like a little bit more freedom or a little bit more free time. So I do feel rich in that respect.
Right. Yeah. It always amazed me, and still to this day does, when you see like if you see like a homeless person on the street, putting their head out for money, they're asking for money. Just just the amount of people that walk past is every single time I've ever seen that, I've just thought, what the fuck is going on? And I'm not saying that, like, I every now and then will put in, like, you know, $1 or $2 if I have cash. By the way, no one has cash anymore. What are homeless people going to do? They're going to have to get FBOS machines. But it just always astounded me how many people could just walk past someone on the street who is basically just like them. I mean, in terms of they have feelings, they have emotions, they're sad as well, and they don't have the ability to do what you're doing, which is going into a Woolworths and buying some snacks and buying a bottle of wine for dinner for the night and buying some prawns and then going back and then cooking them. Like, oh, this is great. I'm saying this because I do this.
Yeah.
And then that person is now just like, okay, Woolworths is closed at 10 p.m. and now they have to find a bench to sleep on and some food to keep them going. And like, it's bizarre that we just walk right past that shit. And I do it too. Like, I'll have like this existential crisis meltdown in my head, and then I'll think, oh, I'm such a good guy that I'm actually, you know, thinking about how I'm thinking about it. Yeah, like that makes me good. That makes me better than everyone else. But then I'm just straight into the shop and it's out of my head. And then it maybe comes back into my head when I leave the shop and they're still there. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
It is this weird psychological human, like that makes me realize that we're all animals. We're all animals and we're all out for ourselves. At the end of the day, we're out for ourselves, maybe our family, if we're a really good human being. But at the end of the day, everyone's just out for their own little people, their own little tribe.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But I think, I mean, I'm not sure consciously... I'm not sure how consciously this goes through my mind, but I think there's definitely a perception. Like when I see a homeless person, I'm not necessarily. I definitely don't blame them for their situation. I do feel sorry for it, but I also do think that it's, and this is kind of horrible, but I do think of it as not my problem in a way which is quite, you know. Rough to verbalize, but I like when I see it, I think of it as a system failure, right? It's not their fault, but I feel like when I look at it, I'm like, we as a society should have fixed this, right? Like we have money, we have taxpayer money, we are putting things into the government coffers. Why are there, and because we know, again, there's a lot of overlap between homelessness and mental illness issues, and it feels like we have pathways that could be treating this, right? And yet there's still people sleeping on the street. So when I see it, I go through the exact thought process as you, which is like, oh, do I give something? Maybe I don't have any cash. Oh, I've got 10, but do I want to give $10? And you know, all that kind of the bullshit which goes through your head. And then but then there is definitely a part of me as well which is like, why is it still happening, right? Like we should be able to fix it. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. It's so bizarre.
And not to, again, to unfurl the woke flag, much to slave Grebber's disgust, but I do think that if there were better tax systems in place that were keeping track on where some of the corporate money is going and making sure that people who are earning $2 million a year are paying higher taxes on whatever that top bracket is, I think that you would find that some of those social programs could be better funded and manifestly improve that.
Yeah, I mean, we need to We need to almost appeal to the egos of these billionaires and say, like, as if they're not already thinking about it. I mean, when you got that money, when you got that amount of money, you got to be thinking about your legacy, like night and day, surely. But you got to appeal to their ego and say, do you want to be known as the guy that kind of, turns society into a more positive direction and at least attempted to fix homelessness, at least a little bit?
And like, there are legit people who have done that, because the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, like we said, like they're going to fucking kill diseases, like, permanently off the earth, and they will forever be known as, what a testament to a marriage which didn't last, but a success which will, right? It'll be the Bill Gates and Melinda birth name foundation. But what a legacy to go, we permanently fix that. And that's why it's shocking to me that so many don't, because there's such low-hanging fruit all over there's low-hanging flutes all over the world, just standing out to be blown.
I agree. And also, if you've got that amount of wealth, you think that presumably you think that you're the center of the universe. Presumably you don't believe in God either, because
I could see a billionaire who believes that it happened because God blessed them, right? Like, I was entitled to this and God supported me.
Sure. But it's like we're all on this, and not to sound like a fucking cliche, but we are all on the earth for such a short amount of time in the scheme of history, that someone being able to have a gargantuan amount of wealth, where in the same world that another person can have literally no wealth, when we have the resources to do it, and there is enough money in the economy to do it, in the global economy, if that's a thing. I mean, and with the technology that we have, it is a bizarre, like, we'll look back on, if civilization works itself out, which I think it will eventually, we'll look back on that, the disparity there, as something that A, we would never want to go back to, and B, are a bit baffled as to how it happened in the first place.
Yeah.
Great.
Nice. Shall we move on to...
Emma just sent me a message saying, fancy going for a pint with your one true love? And I texted back, okay, I'll see if she's free.
That's going to go down well.
It never does. My jokes to Emma really
They got worse.
really hit the spot.
Yeah.
She's gotten used to the formula now, so
okay.
My whole guys is right. I need new.
You've become
people.
predictable. Yeah. Okay, got a story for you. Little story. Gonna undersell it. I don't know.
Fucking wait.
Don't know how much we get out of this, but here we go. So I was
Let's milk that titty.
I was hanging out washing at my place, which, as you know, because you've been, the washing line is on the side of the house, but it's accessed from the front. So you go off our front veranda around the corner, and it's out on the side wall. So you can see the street,
Yep.
And the footpath and everything past our front fence.
Right.
And I was hanging out washing, and then I heard this, "Excuse me," and I looked over, and there's this old granny with this little dog on a leash at the front gate. She can see through the gate. She can see me. And like I look up, and she says, "Did you know you're letting the team down?" I was like, "What?" So I come around the corner, and I walk up towards the gate, and I said, "Sorry," and she says, "You're letting the team down." I'm like, "What team?" She's like, she's sticking her face through this transparent gate, and she's like, "Every other house along here keeps their grass trimmed." She's having a go at me because the berm, the the grass on the outside of our property on the front of the street is long. And there's some weeds in it. There's some flowers in it. It's not like up to fucking hip height or anything like that. But there's like...
Where is it at?
It's pretty flat for the most part. And then there's a couple of patches where there's like some maybe 30 centimeters tall sort of flowery, weeds, right?
So the team is...
The team is Pier Street. All of the other houses along here.
Wow.
And we're letting the team down apparently. And I know I was like,
good on her for saying up, speaking her truth.
And I was like, well, why does it matter? And she's like,
can you try and imitate the look on her face when she said this? Like, was it like a, do you know you're letting the team down?
No, it is. So you've got to,
I'll
you'll get a more of a vibe as I continue to tell this story, but you got to know that this is one of those 80-plus-year-old grannies, sour as fuck, nothing left to do in her life, nothing to live for. All she's got is complaints. That's where she's at in her life stage. We saw some of these people at the cinema, not generalizing that by any stretch that it's every grandma, everyone at age 80 is like this, but there are definitely a few where all they've got is negativity, complaints, criticisms, superiority, smugness, and self-assured bitchiness, right? Like that's an archetype.
Say no more.
So I'm like, well, why does it matter? She's like, well, everyone else on the street is keeping their lawns trimmed. I'm like, so? It's like, so yours is messy. And I was like, well, why? You should trim it. And I was like, well, why? Because it's not my property.
This is what you said to her.
Yeah, I was like, it's not my property. And she's like, oh,
that.
Yeah, I did. And she said, oh, well, you're a renter. It'll be in your contract. And I was like, actually, thanks for nosing into business that's got absolutely nothing to do with you. But no, it's not in my contract. My landlord takes care of the property's yard. He sends like a gardener around to take care of it. So it's actually nothing to do with me whatsoever. Thanks for having a pry. And she's like, well, what's your landlord's name? I was like, Keith. It's like, Keith what? It's like, are you wanting to call him? She's like, yeah, I'm going to call Keith what? I was like, I'm not telling you his name. Why would I tell you his name? What's the point? And I was, why does it matter if the grass is long? I like seeing the native flowers. Have you ever thought that, maybe the bees like having a little bit of flowers around rather than just arbitrary grass? Like, honestly,
nice, dude.
Honestly, why is there grass? Why does we need to have grass on our streets? Why can't it be?
Because you're letting the team down.
Native flowers or anything like that. And she goes, So I'm like, what about the natives? She goes, well, just the other day, a developer cut down 30 natives at the back of my property. 30 native trees. What? They cut down 30 native trees. I'm like, what has that got to do with anything? Why are you telling? Is this just word
She's
association
telling you her motive.
What? Just I said native, you say native, and I was like,
native, whoa, native, whoa.
Yeah. And so it got to this point where I was like, okay, well, this has been fun. Thank you for sticking your nose into something that is completely not your business. I'm going to get on with my day. And she was like, I bet you will. I was like, yes, I will. That is what I'm going to do. That's what I just said that. She's like, huh, well, I bet you will. And she, with her shitty little dog, trotted off down the street with a sneer. I was like, I can't believe it. Like,
she's your next door neighbor?
No. She's not even a neighbor. She's just like a random person walking past.
She's a street ambassador.
Yeah, a concerned patron.
Crusader.
Yeah. And
what a cunt.
And it was so...
What an absolute cunt.
Like, it was the approach. Like, if the person had come up and said, oh, hey, excuse me, I was just I was just wondering, like, what's the situation? Are you a renter here, or like, is there anyone in charge of the lawn here? Because, you know, I'd love to lend you a mower if you need it, or offer to like cut this for you myself, you know, or would you like it if my son came around and tidied this up for you? Sure, that's a lovely conversation. I'm not opposed to someone cutting that grass, but you can abso-fucking bet that I will leave that grass as long as humanly possible. I want to get it at least up to hip height so that she walks past it every day and knows that her intrusive, rude, obnoxious behavior actively had the opposite result to what she wanted, which is a trimmed lawn. I'm going to leave that fucking thing to grow as long as possible.
Good for you, man. You should have told her that you were gay. She would have exploded.
And excuse me, I'm going to go suck my boyfriend's dick.
Oh!
Actually, do you want to know something? This is not a fun... Well, it's not a fun story because I don't really care. But legitimately today... Casey and I were getting lunch, and we got out of our car. We just parked our car and got out of the car, and someone driving past on the road wound down the window and yelled, "Faggot!" Why are you laughing?
So lame.
Why are you laughing? What, is that funny?
But also it's so funny. I didn't realize people still did that. But also, that is awesome.
It was actually quite a hurtful experience. Being
was it actually hurtful, or do you not just feel sorry for the person that's saying that?
It wasn't that hurtful, but it was surprising because, as you say, you're like, wow, I didn't really think that happened, but yeah, it does. Yeah, just casually. And the weird thing was, like, I don't know how they knew. like.
Were you holding hands?
No.
I mean, really good at body language.
There's either two options. One is that they had no clue whatsoever and they're just yelling it out the window and happened to get it right. Or two is that like Casey and I were holding hands in the car and maybe they'd pulled up alongside and like seen at a stoplight and then we parked and then they came past. But like that seems somewhat implausible as well. So like it was just a very strange circumstance.
Wow. That is weird.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't even like
doing that.
I wasn't even like dressed super gay.
Well, you don't dress gay. I wouldn't say gay.
Thank you.
Flamboyant.
Maybe. Okay. I could dress way more flamboyant. There's a lot of legroom on that spectrum.
I think if either one of us were to dress flamboyantly, it would be me. I think we both know that.
Yeah.
I'm more camp than you. I'm way more camp than you.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's my granny story, and then the story about how I was abused in the street.
Yeah, I've never. People don't abuse me in the street like that. I'm gonna be fair. Like no one winds down their window and goes, "You fucking Sri Lankan cunt."
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird.
Because I'm white.
If you've enjoyed, well, that's a segue. If you've enjoyed this discussion of hate crimes, well, you can find plenty more episodes in the podcast feed. You can head to deepfort.podbean.com for the full archive. You can find us on Facebook at Deepfort, Twitter at Deepfort, Instagram Deepfort, SoundCloud Deepfort. You can send emails and comments and questions to deepfort@gmail.com, and we will attend to them with alacrity. Thank you for listening. We always appreciate it. And if you feel like supporting us, you can give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. That'll help us move up the ranks. And maybe with our next poll, we'll have 3 yeses and 3 nos. Whew.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on your list, or do you want to play a game?
I want to play a game.
Okay.
Does it have a theme song?
I do think I'll make a jingle for it. I do think I'll make a jingle.
Dude,
it's been a while since I've made a jingle.
Exactly. We need a new theme song. I was thinking that the other day.
Okay, so here we go.
Bit. Bleep. Bit. Bit. Bleep. Bit. 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 Bleep. Bit. Bleep. Bitlyball.
I think you're feeling it. It's kind of sportsy. We're getting a bit of like an ESPN, highlights reel kind of sport contest vibes, right? This is a game brand new, never before played, never before seen, never before heard, right out of the bean, fresh for the picking. I like to call...
Stretching.
Yeah, stretch up. Everyone stretch up. I like to call Bitlyball. Bitlyball.
Bitlyball.
Bitlyball. Okay.
Bitlyball.
Bitlyball. It's got a lovely musicality to the name. I think it's beautiful. Here's the rules. Here's the idea. Are you aware of the link shortening site bit.ly? Bitly.
No.
Bitly is used to shorten URLs that were ungainly in length down to a more manageable, tiny little bite-sized thing, handy for texting, handy for emailing. It's a link shortener. You're aware of link shorteners, yes?
Sure.
Cool. This is going to go well. Bitly...
I actually am very aware. They come up a lot in work.
Yeah, I think you would probably use them in a commercial context. And one of the recent creations of the link shortening sphere, because they're used for marketing and tracking and that sort of stuff as well, email click-through, that sort of thing, is a custom URL, right? You can set, rather than just being gibberish, bit.ly/random press of the keyboard, you can set a custom phrase. So it could be, if you're Coldplay, bit.ly/Coldplay 2021 tickets tour. And you can click on that and you'll have a redirect, which will send you to all the sites you need to go to buy your tickets to Coldplay.
Right.
Here is the goal of Bitlyball.
Okay.
Given that you can create a custom URL with any sort of addendum, Coldplay tour 2021, at the end of bit.ly, the goal is to think of a URL extension, right? Think of a passphrase or a word or a combination, right? Unseen, sight unseen, and we type it into the browser. If it is a correct link, if someone has come up with that passphrase and it takes you somewhere, you will get points for the length of the phrase. So if you type in bit.ly or bit.ly/dog, and that's a real site and it takes you to a website, you'll get 3 points, DOG. If you type in bit.ly/supercalifragilisticexpialidocious and it's a real link, you'll get however many points that is, right? Here's the thing.
Love it.
Here's the thing.
The longer the better.
The longer the better. But here's the thing. I reckon, and we can work on scoring, we can negotiate, we can see how this plays. I reckon if you get it wrong, you lose the number of if in the word. So if you go for dog and it doesn't exist, then you lose 3 points.
Fuck
so it's
yeah.
a high stakes game of risk and reward here.
Super high stakes. Yeah, it's kind of like Scrabble.
Yeah, so let's do a demo one for you right now, okay? Let's on your end as well, open up a browser because we're going to do this simultaneously so that we can both.
Which browser are you using these days?
I'm using Safari. I'm using Safari. I've deleted.
Safari?
I've deleted.
Safari.
I deleted Chrome off your computer because it kills your battery and infects it with all kinds of shit. You should get rid of Chrome.
I like being infected.
Swap to Opera if you want to use Chromium. So
I'm using Chrome.
Okay, I'm going to delete that off your computer. So let's say you type bit.ly / Here's an example. Let's type happy-go-lucky, all right? HAPPYGOLUCKY. That is 12 letters. Do you have it queued up?
One night day link.
Oh, you've clicked it.
Date link. Yeah.
It's real. Okay, so if I'd...
Whoa!
So I would have got 12 points then, because that is a real URL. It's redirected to what seems to be...
Oh, dude,
seems
this
to be
might
a
be the
message
greatest game
board.
ever.
Seems
I feel like
to
such
be...
a millennial.
Yeah, that's a dating website.
Also, Flamingo Road, Las Vegas,
Oh, so
where it's registered.
so this is great. We get to see a little bit of what we're linking to.
I'm going
at
to look
the end
this
as
up
well.
on Google Earth.
Yeah,
And this is how you get into a rabbit hole, folks.
this is how we. This is everyone at home witness ADHD playing out in real time.
Dude, one of my favorite things is just going on Street View at like a random point in the world. And just like, I did it for your house the other day. I just typed in your address and just walked around the streets online on Google Earth.
Yeah, right.
I just like, this is what like Nick's, I think it probably came from like you seeing where I live
Yeah,
and
you
me
wanted to-
not
you wanted
liking
to
that
see.
imbalance.
Yeah.
And so I looked your address up and I just like walked the streets as you do.
Yeah. Alrighty. So
Flamingo
before you
Health
get
Centre.
before you get too caught up in this, let's set up the rules. I think it's like a penalty shoot off. We get three throws each, 3 URLs each. I think that you nominate the catchphrase and the other person types it into the address bar to confirm. And then again, I'll manage the points. 1 point for every letter in the phrase, either correct or
Right.
deducted. Do you understand the rules of the
Right.
game?
I think I do, yeah.
All right, let's play some Bitlyball. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I want to go first, but I want to know something. Can you bleep out a word, even if it is a URL?
I can bleep it out. Are you going to use a rude word?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. I can bleep it
But
out.
I think it's a genuine guess, but I need you to bleep it out.
Okay. Why? Is it because it's crude?
You'll know why.
Okay.
I think this is a genuine guess, but I need to say a bad word.
Okay. Sure thing. I am ready and waiting.
And you'll know which word to bleep out. I won't even tell you.
Sure. Yep.
All right. bit.ly /
Yep.
God hates fags.
Okay. Wow.
That's a good guess, right?
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a 12-letter guess from Michael. Why? Talk me through your process here.
I just think that it sounds like it's like a catchy phrase, but it's also like one that people won't want to register. Like the same people that think that aren't the same people that are going to register a URL.
Okay, so you're thinking tactically here.
Yeah.
And the fact that today I was literally called this word in an abusive sense.
I think that inspired me.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you've really made the most of...
Your abuse, I use as inspiration.
Okay, you're like an artist who doesn't have to suffer themselves.
Exactly.
Alrighty, are you ready?
I don't want to search this myself, so
Okay.
I'm just relying on you.
Okay, here we go. Ho! Correct.
Are we on?
You're on. Correct.
Is it Westboro?
Here is the thing. You want to know what this is? You're going to fucking love this. Do you want to know what it is? Type it in yourself. It is a link to documentaryheaven.com.
Incognito mode.
Documentaryheaven.com. Louis Theroux's most hated family in America. You got yourself to the Westboro Baptist Church for a Louis Theroux documentary. Well done.
So the Westboro Baptist Church has registered this.
No, this is a documentary about it by Louis Theroux. So it's a redirect to watch the documentary about Westboro.
Wow. That was a great guess.
That's a great guess. 12 points off the bat. All right.
And also good outcome.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm 12. So I'm winning by 12 points.
All right. I'm gonna go. Are you ready to type in?
I'm ready to rumble. If you are.
You're gonna have to check your spelling on this carefully. My first shot. bit.ly/flying spaghetti monster.
Oh, very good. This is a very good guess.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In fact, maybe I'll get a letter count up so that I can just do this without having to count everything aloud. It's 22. Alrighty. It's up to you.
Some eighth. Look at that was a good guess.
Is it loaded?
Yeah.
Oh.
SpaghettiMonster.org. Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Great.
Oh, it's
guess,
the actual website for it, is it?
Wow.
All right. So that is.
I'd hate to meet the people behind this website, wouldn't you? Like, they're just going to be the biggest fucking losers ever. I hate a dogmatic. I don't know I was one, but I just fucking hate an atheist that's like in their 30s that just like loves to talk about atheism. Ugh.
Yeah. Okay. 12 points to Michael. 22 to Nick. Michael, your second throw.
All right. I need to come up with something really big here. This is a Hail Mary. Okay. bit.ly/
Yep.
build the wall.
Build the wall. Okay. Not that many letters. You're playing a bit conservative here. All right.
I'm playing very conservative.
Build the wall is 12 letters again. You're going for another 12. I think this feels pretty safe. Let's see how Bitly agrees.
It's a safe play. Wow.
Bit.ly
Very weird.
/build the wall.
What?
Now you got to wait for me to enter.
By the way, you can play along at home.
Yeah, you can
That's
play
the
this at
beauty
home.
of this. If you're listening to this, you can play along on your phone, on your computer, whatever device.
Yeah. Okay. So that is a redirect to let me Google that for you, which is been set up to teach you how to type. How do I say "did I stutter" in Spanish? So that's a correct. You got that right. An unexpected place.
But that's a weird one.
That's a weird one.
Who's setting that up?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm still losing it. I'm winning by a margin at this point.
You are at 24 and I'm at 22 as we go into my second throw. Now remember,
I need you to bust here.
Remember that you need to wait for the other person to Google it. You don't get to type it in. You got to wait for the other person to check. So that's all right. I just think it helps with the tension. I got a bit of an edge here because I had quite a strong first throw.
Yeah. I need you to go bust. I need you to come up with something wacky. Oh, I just came up with my third one. Yes.
Okay. bit.ly/ Andre Agassi hair. I'm going to take a swing.
That is a massive swing, dude. And I've never respected you more than right. Andre. Okay, so we're going to have to.
Okay, so I'm going to spell it aloud the way I'd like it.
Check the spelling.
ANDREAGASSI. I think that's Andre Agassi. Or is it two G's?
That's what I got. I got
Andre
double S.
Agassi. Yeah, double S. Hair. So that's 15.
Yeah.
I'm taking a big swing, but you got to play it. Okay, I'm ready.
You got to play to
Andre Agassi hair.
May. Count us down.
3, 2, 1. That's Bitly.
No!
Oh, that sounds like a failure.
Whoa!
That sounds like a failure. You got to tell me what's happening.
404, bro.
Oh!
404. Error. Something is wrong here, dog.
I swung for the skies.
Is wrong.
Wrong.
Whoa.
Wrong.
Woo.
Okay.
We got a game on our hands here, folks.
We got a game. Okay. Current score.
This is
Michael,
the tiebreaker.
Michael 24, Nick 7. Alrighty. Michael is warming up.
All right. I might need a second here.
Okay. Tension's running hot.
bit.ly. Brangelina.
Brangelina.
Forever.
Forever. Okay. Okay, you're
With
going to have to spell
with the
this.
digit.
With the digit 4.
With the digit.
And is ever EVER or EVA?
EVA.
So we have BRANGELINA, the digit 4, ever EVA. Brangelina
Correct.
forever. Remember, you're waiting for me
Hold
to
on, Brand.
you're waiting for me to type this one in. Alrighty. Fourth.
I don't know how I feel about this, Nick. I feel weird about
BRANGELINA
this.
forever. Alrighty, so that is okay.
I'm gonna be sick.
That is a 14. That is a 14. Okay,
14.
you ready? Hit and go. Oh! That's a no. That's snake eyes. That's snake eyes. Oh, that's got a sting.
I'm still winning.
That's got a sting.
I'm
Okay.
still winning.
Michael currently on 10.
Still winning.
Currently on 10. Nick on 7. All I need.
Wait, what?
Remember, you
I
lose.
thought it was on.
You were on 24 and then you just lost 14 on your last one. That makes 10.
Oh.
I was on 22. I lost to 15, so I'm at 7. You're still ahead.
Am I still ahead?
You're 10 to 7. But if
By the way, this is the greatest game of all time.
Thank you. Thank you.
This
I'm
is
quite
the greatest
proud
game
of
of all
it.
time.
I'm quite proud of it. If I phone this in with quite a low stakes guess here, I think I've sealed it. So I just need to think. Do I go
You need 3.
Do I go for the glory? Do I go for the glory?
Wait, you need 4,
I need 4 to win.
right?
Yeah, 4 to win. Do I go for glory or do I go for security?
Go for glory. I reckon. If I was you, I'd go for glory. Smash me out the park, mate. Come on.
Okay.
Go for a 25er.
Alrighty. Are you ready? You standing by? My guess is victory lap. Victory lap.
Okay.
Victory lap.
You're spelling lap LAP.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
If
Traditional spelling.
if this falls through for me, it's going to be a real taste of eating crow pie, eating humble crow, eating pecan pie. Victory lap. But think about the glory. Oh, I should have gone. Can I? Okay. Can I make a request? We haven't entered. Can I change?
Please.
Or are we set?
I'll allow the request. I don't
Okay,
know if
and then you can. I'll leave it to you to decide. Here's my new request. I would like to change it to no guts, no glory.
Okay, permission granted.
Okay, let's do it.
I'll allow it.
No guts, no,
No
glory.
guts, no glory.
Now I'm
I
waiting
like
for
that
you.
wave. No guts, no
I'll just type
glory.
how many letters. So that's 13.
It's gonna be a porn. It's gonna be porn, by the way. If it is anything, it's gonna be porn.
Okay.
It's
I'm
gonna be
standing
glory
by for
holes.
you two. NOGUTSNOGLORY. I'm standing by. Michael.
3, 2,
1.
1. Press enter. No, YouTube.
YouTube! YouTube!
Wait, it says video unavailable.
That's alright, as long as it redirects. As long as it redirects.
Wait. This is a line call.
It's not a line call. The redirect works.
It says video unavailable.
Yes, but it says that on the website youtube.com. It did not fail at Bitly like the others.
This is not a functioning link.
It is a functioning link
It's not
because
a
it
functioning
redirected you to youtube.com. That is the function of Bitly, is a redirection. It's redirected. The video is no longer there, but the redirect still is.
You can't redirect me to
Yes,
nothing.
you can. Yes, you can. That isn't nothing. It's youtube.com. The
Video
system works.
unavailable.
You're being a sore loser here.
Okay.
being a
How
sore
about this?
loser.
How about this? How
You're
about
being a
this?
sore loser.
How about this? You ever played blackjack? You can double down. You want to double down on the last one that you said? No victory lap.
This is a classic.
Double or
addict
nothing.
behavior.
Double or nothing.
Double or nothing for victory lap. Okay, fuck it. Yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna crush you, mate. I'm gonna fucking crush you. That was the
doubling down.
risk. Victory lap is such an obvious. That's a putt in. You're gonna be humiliated. I already won, and you're gonna be double lost.
I want you, if you can, to insert some crowd oohs right there, please. Victory lap.
Okay. Victory
All
lap
right.
for double or nothing.
Double or nothing.
Okay.
This is the greatest game of all time, Nick. You need to speak to Hasbro as soon as we finish this podcast.
Yeah.
I want you on the phone with the CEO of Hasbro.
I think we should.
dude.
I think we should institute a rule. Can we agree? I've got a new proposal. I think
50% profits.
I think if you hit a website that is pornography, you get double points.
Oh, I love it. Great rule.
Great rule.
Great rule.
Porn rule means you get double points if you hit porn.
Always best to incentivize porn.
Always
Yeah,
best.
even more than it's already incentivized. Double the points if it's porn.
Double the points
All right.
for porn. All right.
And
This is currently double or nothing. This is my victory lap here. If this works, I'm going to be the crowning champ on the inaugural game of Bitlyball.
do you mind if I just meditate for a second?
Okay, take a moment. This is going to be our longest podcast of all time.
Oh, I love it. It should be. It should be.
Okay.
It should be.
Okay.
It's probably the best podcast of all time.
Not even just with us, just Andy. Okay, I'm ready.
All time, dude.
I'm ready. Double
All
or
right.
nothing. I have it typed as well. I'm
5,
going to press go at the same time as
3,
you.
7, 1, 2. Blast off.
Okay. Okay, fuck.
Oh! Page not found.
It works! No, it works!
What?
It works. Look, it's redirected. The redirect worked. I won, dude. I fucking won. Look
says
at the
page
look
not
at the
found.
look at the URL bar. Artificialdata.com. We're on a different website. Just because the link,
/treat.
yes, just because it's taken you to a page which has changed, does not mean the
What's
redirect doesn't work.
.tar? What's .tar?
That is that's a file that could have been installing some malware on our systems. But that
You
That
cannot
worked.
claim this. You cannot claim this.
I can. It's changed. It's changed the URL. That's the whole point of
No.
Bitlyball. That's the whole point. Does the URL still
No.
take you to a different site? What's the website we're
It's
now
not
on?
the whole point of Bitlyball. It
The
can't
website
take
where-
you to a defunct website. It can't take you to a defunct website. It has to take you to a functioning website.
No, that was never stated. It just has to redirect you.
No. Why would that be the case?
Because
Like,
because the failure is that no one has ever used that custom tag at the end before. No one has ever used that tag before, which is when Bitly spits up the 404. If you get a Bitly 404, you're out. You failed. If someone's used that and it's redirected to something which is no longer there, which will be most of the links that we type in, that still counts. Bitly has had that URL. It worked.
I think that there's way more fun in making the game like a functioning site. Like that's kind of another element. Like it has to be functioning.
Okay. Well, maybe let's put that to the listener.
This is early days.
This
Yeah,
is
I
early
agree.
days.
I
We're
think
still
we should put
prototyping.
this-
I think as a fundamentalist, I think that the idea is whether Bitly itself ever had that URL. If you still get redirected to another site, that's a success. Doesn't matter what's there anymore. And you might get bonus points if it's porn, but it's not essential that it's porn or that it works, right? Whereas you're
Correct.
proposing that it has to take you to an operational website that loads some kind of thing, not a 404, not a page not found. Even a YouTube video has to play. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I think that we could have a scale where a 404 is you've wiped out, but a page not found, you still get maybe a couple of points back.
Okay.
Maybe like there could be a scale.
Okay, so a Bitly 404 deducts points, but a redirect with a page not found gets you 0 points, and then a redirect that gets you to a loaded page gets you your full you'll grow.
Correct.
Okay, well we can try that for next time. We'll put it to the listeners as well. If you have opinions on Bitlyball, let us know what you think. I think successful game.
Oh man, that was. I mean, my heart is racing.
Yeah.
Right now,
Yeah.
Brilliant game. Well done.